Finally reaching the room, he stood in front of the door, bad thoughts swirling in his mind, and he shook them off. He tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Knocking seemed out of the question. He didn't want to create unnecessary noise. He looked around, hoping and praying that nobody could hear him.
Velvet, open the door.
He continued to call her in a hushed tone, his body refusing to let him raise his voice. Finally, he decided to knock, hoping she would hear it. Still, there was no response. He called her name again, and again for 5 consecutive times, and finally, she picked up. In a sleepy voice, she asked,
"Who? What happened?"
Angelo felt a surge of emotion and cried outside the door, losing his strength and tumbling down.
"Hey, what happened?"
Velvet's voice shifted from sleepiness to concern.
I'm outside. Please, please open the door. I need to come in. Hurry, please."
He pleaded through tears.
"Okay."
When she finally opened it, she took in Angelo's condition.
"What happened to you?"
Angelo, weak and crying, was covered in bruises and blood, his clothes torn and his face streaked with tears. Still confused about what was happening, Velvet took him inside and hugged him tightly. Angelo just cried and cried, overwhelmed by the change in his situation. It took a while before he managed to speak again.
"Here, water. It'll help ease you."
Velvet said gently, offering him a glass. Angelo grabbed the water, but his shaking hands made it hard to hold.
"What happened? Tell me."
Velvet urged, her worry evident. Just then, her phone buzzed with incoming calls. She glanced at it and saw her mother was trying to reach her. Shocked by the numerous missed calls she'd received while asleep, she opened a video message and gasped, tears streaming down her face. Standing in front of the camera was her mother.
"My lovely child, we may never see each other again. But please always believe that we love you."
Confused and terrified, Velvet rushed to look outside. The district was in total chaos, the world she once knew now unrecognizable.
What happened?"
She cried, realizing the gravity of their situation. Both Angelo and Velvet understood that their world had irrevocably changed.
"Angelo, what do we do now? Where can we find safety? Is there any news?"
Velvet asked, closing the window and pulling the thick curtains to shield them from prying eyes.
I'm watching the news. They're advising people to stay inside, lock their doors, and avoid making unnecessary noise. Wait for updates from the government.
"That's too vague. What if something's happening nearby? Where will we go?"
I'm not sure either.
Angelo admitted, feeling hopeless. Silence fell between them as they grappled with their situation. While they waited, they heard distant shouts for help, gradually fading into silence, one after the other. Both terrified, they covered their ears and began to cry.
"Mama."
The night passed, ushering in a new, uncertain beginning. Hearing outside, Velvet hoped for the best, careful not to expose herself. She noticed military personnel moving through the area and believed this might be their safest chance.
"Angelo, I want to believe my parents are safe. I want to return to our country no matter what."
How can we go back? It's 1,000 miles away.
"I don't know. Maybe we could walk. I'll figure something out."
Don't be reckless. Let's stay here and be safe.
"Then you stay here. I'm going."
Angelo stood up and grabbed her shoulders, looking her straight in the eyes.
I understand, Velvet, but this is impossible right now. We don't even know if we'll be alive tomorrow.
"Let go of me, please. This isn't the time for this. I want to go. Let's find the armed forces or head to the airport. We need to find a way.
Just then, an explosion shook the ground outside. A massive monster appeared, wreaking havoc as it moved through the area.
A dragon.
The dragon roared, sending waves of fear rippling through the crowd. Helpless people stood frozen, waiting for death. Blood spilled everywhere once again.
Well, you wanted to go back. Let's go. It's not safe here anymore.
Angelo shouted, grabbing Velvet's hand and running. They fled with the crowd, but suddenly Angelo felt an overwhelming sense of danger. Instinctively, he jumped, pulling Velvet with him just as disaster struck. They stumbled and rolled, and Velvet screamed at the chaos around them. A burst of flame engulfed the area, but thanks to Angelo's quick actions, they were spared. Shocked and disbelieving, they exchanged glances, then forced themselves to their feet and continued running. With every step, they pulled each other up, unwilling to leave anyone behind.
I can feel it again.
Ignoring his instincts, he quickly changed direction, narrowly avoiding another disaster.
How did you know that was coming?
I don't know. It's like I can sense it deep within me.
Let's just keep moving.
When they finally felt a moment of safety, Angelo's ominous feeling returned. This time, they wouldn't be able to escape.
It's ahead.
They stopped, facing the dragon they had been running from.
This is really bad. What do we do now?
I'll try to distract it. You run as far as you can. Don't look back, just run.
Well, we should run together.
Velvet, please listen to me. I want you to be safe. Now go.
Angelo pleaded, tears brimming in his eyes. With that, he dashed in the opposite direction, shouting and screaming to draw the dragon's attention. Desperate and unsure, Velvet ran as far away as she could, tears streaming down her face as she prayed for mercy. In mere minutes, Angelo was gone. She kept running, feeling momentarily safe, until the dragon descended in front of her.
What do you want?
Fearful yet resigned to her fate, she stood still, waiting for death to claim her. But then, as if answering her plea, a gate opened nearby. Without thinking, she ran toward it, unaware of what lay beyond. In a daze, Velvet wandered toward the nearest corner, oblivious to the dangers that might lurk nearby. She collapsed to the ground, sobbing as memories of Angelo flooded her mind.
Angelo.
The name escaped her lips, the only words she could muster. She reminisced about their years together, friends since she was 5. Overwhelmed by grief, she curled up and cried until, finally, dizziness took over. Unbeknownst to her, mana began to accumulate within her, as the dungeon she found herself in served as a reservoir of magical energy. At last her body gave in and she lost consciousness.
Velvet, hey, wake up.
Hey, good morning. Man, I had an awful dream.
Yeah, what kind of dream?
The world went crazy. It seemed you died.
Whoa, that's crazy. But you know what? It might be true. Always remember, I'm here with you.
Yeah, you're right. You're always here for me.
Wake up, Velvet. Be strong. Strong enough to face everything. You're special.
Why does your smile feel so emotionless? Why can't I feel it? I'm already awake.
Suddenly, she jolted awake, startled by a loud roar.
Well, what is that? What's happening? Where am I?
She looked around and found herself in a medieval-style dungeon, filled with marble columns and illuminated by beautiful ornamental torches.
What is this place?
As she wandered, she spotted a dark-looking slime.
What is that thing?
The dark slime was stuck, and just as she reached for it, her instincts kicked in. A wild wolf appeared, lunging at her arm. The impact sent Velvet crashing to the ground, staring wide-eyed at the wolf.
That wolf is really mad at us. What did you do, Mr. Slime?
Scanning for a way to escape, she spotted a rock formation nearby.
If I can throw it over there, I might distract the wolf.
As the wolf lunged again, Velvet sidestepped, leading it straight into the trap. To her shock, the wolf crashed into the rocks and was instantly killed. Frozen in disbelief, she finally snapped back to reality and rushed to help the dark slime.
Are you all right?
But the slime took off and ran away. With no other options, she decided to follow it, sensing it was still hurt.
Hey, come back. You're still injured.
Velvet called out, chasing after the dark slime.
What am I doing? Why am I trying to help that slime? I have no idea anymore.
Eventually, fatigue set in, and she slowed down to catch her breath, only to realize there were other monsters nearby. She looked around and saw large lizards, standing upright and wielding swords, advancing toward her.
Oh my God.
Resigned to her fate, she stood still, waiting for death to claim her. Then, in an unbelievable turn, the dark slime sprang into action, attacking the wolves and protecting her from harm. In shock, Velvet scooped up the dark slime and dashed away, hoping the creatures wouldn't follow. Once she caught her breath, she looked at the slime and smiled.
Thank you for saving me.
But her relief was short-lived. She knew she hadn't escaped far. With a bittersweet smile, she looked at the slime and said,
Run, my last friend. Thank you.
Then she pushed the dark slime away. A sudden, sharp pain bit into her neck. Numb with agony, she smiled, accepting that this was the end.
Stop it. Stop hitting me. I said stop.
Velvet shot up, confused and disoriented. She looked around, trying to piece together what had happened and why she was still alive. Once again, something brushed against her, and she turned to see the dark slime.
Oh, dark slime. You're alive? Am I alive too?
As if understanding, the slime nodded vigorously.
Oh, you understood me. How awesome.
Gathering herself, she turned to the wolf that had attacked her, now lying lifeless nearby.
It's dead. But how? Did you do this, dark slime? How did I survive?
The slime just stared back at her, and she realized she needed to ask one question at a time.
How did it die?
The slime formed an arm, flexing its newly shaped muscles, as if to say it was responsible.
Thank you again for saving my life. But how did I survive?
The slime crawled closer to her. At first, she felt a bit disgusted, but soon the sensation turned comforting.
It's you who did it. Thank you.
Overwhelmed with gratitude, in a moment of emotion, she hugged the slime as it crawled around her. Suddenly, it glowed and marked her hand with a symbol she'd never seen before.
What is happening to us?
She wondered aloud, noticing her right hand heating up, revealing another matching mark.
Master, do you hear me?
Startled, Velvet looked around, searching for the source.
I don't know if I'm your master, but I can definitely hear you.
The dark slime crawled out from her and morphed into a shadowy figure resembling her.
It's me, Master. I'm the one talking.
Oh, it's you. This is too much for me to handle right now.
The dark slime laughed.
That's right, Master. But I think it's better if you follow me. I'll bring you to the core.
The core? What's that?
A core is a core.
That's a wonderful answer.
Once she regained her strength, she followed the slime as they walked further into the dungeon. A few monsters appeared, but the slime dispatched them effortlessly.
Master, you need to learn to fight too. You have to defend yourself.
Huh. I really don't know how to fight. I've never even hit anyone before.
You're stronger than you think. What do you want to use as a weapon?
I don't know. I learned how to shoot guns before.
What's a gun?
First, I need to give you a name. I have no idea what to call you. How about Pochi?
I think I'll like it.
So you don't like it. Then how about Lucy? Wait, are you a boy or a girl?
Master, let's think about names later. There's a huge monster in this area. We need to defeat it.
Oh really? That's why you were asking about weapons and fighting?
She thought for a moment and settled on her plan.
A gun. That's really the only thing I know how to use.
The slime suddenly jumped toward her, as if trying to understand what she meant.
Master, I don't have that, but I think there's a place below where we can find one.
I have a feeling I don't have much choice, do I?
No, Master.
Finally, the two readied themselves. The slime began teaching Velvet some simple magic. Velvet settled with the name Gloomy for the dark slime.
Point your hand like a gun and feel the mana within you. Then shoot it out.
As she spoke, Velvet mustered the energy to tap into her mana skill. A compressed blast of energy shot straight toward her target, a rock formation in the distance. The impact was powerful. The rock shattered into dust.
Wow. I can do this.
Yes, Master. And that's not all. You can also use another skill that connects to me. You can summon the dark matters you possess.
Dark matter?
Yes. You can create anything you can imagine with that skill. Like this.
The slime demonstrated, conjuring thorns and effortlessly destroying another rock formation.
Wow, that's incredible. You're amazing, Gloomy.
Her eyes lighting up with newfound determination.
Master. I don't know how to say it, but her eyes look so much brighter now.
What did you say?
Nothing, Master.
Now that Velvet was capable of fighting, they decided to take the stairs leading deeper into the dungeon. More monsters appeared, and as usual, Gloomy battled most of them with ease. Velvet, despite knowing how to fight now, still felt paralyzed by fear.
Master, shoot. Shoot.
But Velvet was overwhelmed, curling up in a ball. Moments later, she heard a thud. Gloomy had fallen victim to a huge orc.
Gloomy.
Panic rising in her chest. With no exit in sight, she contemplated fleeing once again. Gloomy lay on the ground, surrounded by orcs.
No. I can't lose someone again. Not now.
Emotions swirling within her. She watched helplessly as the slime was smothered, reverting to its original round blob form. Despite her fear, something ignited within Velvet. She couldn't let this happen again. Gritting her teeth, she raised her arm, fingers pointing at the orcs, and conjured a black slime metal that shot forth, piercing all 4 orcs. The creatures halted, and as the metal penetrated, dark flames ignited, slowly consuming them. Terrified, Velvet fell to her knees and crawled toward Gloomy.
Gloomy, I'm so sorry. Please don't leave me here.
Slowly, Gloomy began to reform, reshaping into the familiar figure of her master.
I'm sorry, Master. I couldn't save you this time.
No, Gloomy. It's my fault. I'm sorry this happened to you.
They embraced, each trying to console the other as they shared the weight of their emotions.